Okay, so I'm trying a live stream for the first time. I finished reading A House of Powder and Plot, which is book 4.5 of the Tale of the Levanthria series by A.P. Beswick. I liked it. It wasn't, as amazing as the other ones, but I liked it. So basically, the main character of this story is a dwarf named Morven, and he basically discovers explosive powder, kind of like gunpowder. So in his trial phase, I guess you could say, he's in his house, and he tries it, blows a huge hole in this house, which brings the king's soldiers running to check out what's going on. They think he is a magician that they need to recruit to the king's army. So they post a guard because he's like, okay, well, I'll go, meaning he's going to escape. And as he tries to escape, he comes across two people, Taryn and not sure how to pronounce her name very well. Skyrar? Anyway, she's a shadow walker. Taryn is a magician, and they are in a vendetta against the king. They are going to be in a plot to kill the king. So they recruit Morven. He's reluctant at first, but they really want his gunpowder. So they are able to take out the guards, and they take him to this little area where they meet up with their other in the group. Vorax is an extremely tall elf that Morven kind of has a crush on. And Darmor, Zarina, Ulrich, characters we've met before, they join the crowd. And it's basically those guys for most of this. So they have Morven make some more of his powder. Eventually they have to leave because King's soldiers found out where they were to track down Morven. And so they go on Yorick's ship with Zarina and them, and they get to where the king is stationed, but they have to walk across the desert land first. And they do. They walk across the desert land. At one point, they're so tired because they have to carry the barrels of powder that Morven created. He and Vorax are doing it. And it's heavy, and they're walking through sand. So, of course, they want to break. And Darmor's like, I don't have a good feeling about this. And Ulrich's like, we need to go. We need to get there because Ulrich's impatient because we remember that Ulrich is really his little sister, glamored as her older brother who passed away. And so here they are. They decide to stop in the desert, and they get attacked by these gigantic sand scorpions that live underground. And Darmor loses a hand, and Skyrar gets stabbed, but she's able to take off the venom. Zarina helps heal them. Then they get to the king's encampment, and our Skyrar and Darmor are taken to the healing tents. And so they're able to rest, and then they give them their assignments. So everyone but Morven gets guard duty. Morven gets poop duty because they're apparently prejudiced against dwarves. So anyway, they're trying to figure out a way of how to get the powder into the keep where the king is sleeping or staying. And the king's highly paranoid. He doesn't care about his soldiers. He's not a very good king. They're waiting to move on, but it turns out that the general next to the king is Taryn's contact. And so, of course, they have a soldier who was put into place as a general, not general, but one under the general, lieutenant, whatever they are called. But basically, he gets this job because of that. His dad protected the king during a battle, and he is a jerk. So he can't help but to make their lives miserable, and he challenges Darmor to prove that he's able to fight after being in the infirmary by sending soldiers after soldier, one soldier and then a couple soldiers after, to battle with him. And Darmor overcomes, but it gets to the point where there's like 5 people that he wants to send after Darmor, and so everyone else decides they're going to step up and like stand with Darmor, which makes this guy, Captain Reeve, angry. And so he has it out for them. And the king thinks that the general can't get his soldiers in line, and that's why Captain Reeve is basically a bully in the way he does what he does. So the king sends a message to Captain Reeve that he is able to do whatever it takes necessary to make an example of one man or a couple men to get his men in line and to comply. And he sends it with a poop shoveler, not Morven, another one that Morven befriended. And then Morven gets back to his tent and he sees his friend who is basically having a meltdown. His hands are bloody. He's all covered in blood. And he's like, what happened? He's like, they made me. And Morven goes running to where the soldiers are gathered to find Taryn has been killed. And not just killed, flayed, hung up on a post for everyone to see. He has been made an example of. And this makes the general angry because Taryn was a good man. But he has to pretend that he's still on the king's side. And so he takes Taryn and Vorax and Skyrar and Zarina. We don't know where Ulrich is at this point, but he puts them in the... I forget what they're called, but basically your head and hands are in the wood, and you're just kind of hanging there. Puts them in there for 3 days to make an example out of them and to teach them. But he's muttering to Morven so that nobody else can hear that he is Taryn's man, and he will find a way to get the powder into the castle. It ends up, after 3 days, they're being released, and Morven gets to tell the other people that the general was talking to him, that he's on their side, and that this is how they're going to do it. But as they're going to do this, the Zerubians attack in an ambush, and so the ones that were not going to go into the keep and blow up the powder underneath the king's bedroom, they were going to create a distraction. They end up having to fight. We discover a little bit more of the love story between Zarina and Darmor. And it is implied that Vorax dies in the battle. And then Morven and Skyrar are going into the keep. Skyrar ends up dying from Captain Reeve. So Morven battles him and eventually kills him and goes to look for where the king is to make sure that he is dead after they cause the explosion. The king's not dead. Of course not. Why would he be? So the general and Morven are having to take on the king, and I think the general gets shot, and Morven is taking on the king, and then Morven doesn't make it out, but Ulrich gets the king in the end because he had Morven's gun that he took care of. And then Morven, I believe, I don't even know how this book ended. I know that I liked it. Oh yes, more soldiers were coming to check on the king. They see Morven, they attack him, they kill him. Or they bring him to Morgana because it is seen that Morven has betrayed the king and is a traitor. So Ulrich escapes with the boom pistol, or Heralda, named after his late wife, Morven's late wife. So, is it a happy ending? Yes and no. We'll find out more what happens in the next books, but I thought I'd post this book because I've been posting this series. So, not a bad book, a fun little interlude that finds out what happens to the king and brings more characters in the story. So it probably is necessary to the story to read. I liked it though. I thought it was a good book.